Welcome to the Arsenal Show. We are live. And we've got a special guest in the house today. It's Simon Lester. How you doing, Simon?
Evening, everyone. Thanks, Kieron. Thanks for having me on again.
Of course. And we've got our co-host here today. It's Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm good. Very busy day in the transfer world. So nice to come in here, sit down, have a nice relax, talk about the Arsenal.
Yeah, as if you're going to be on without having a few words at the end about potential transfer targets. I think I'd get crucified if we didn't. But yeah, the dust has settled since the Manchester City game. The game still pulls on heartstrings. I can tell it's still out there. It's still burning. So we're going to have a little bit of a conversation about that. We're going to talk about top four, who could potentially derail us apart from us. And we're going to be having a little chat about potential cup games going forward, if they're still going on. So I'd be silly not to ask you, Simon, how are you feeling now about the Man City game? What were your thoughts on the day about the game?
So, well, I was at the match and, coming down on the train, I was looking online. There was a lot of people, saying we're going to get battered, blah, 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 blah. Well, the first half, and, if you couldn't see it in the first half, we were the better team by a mile. By a mile. Scored a goal, probably should have, maybe scored one more. And the game obviously turned on a couple of incidents. People know what the score is. To me, my view is, if he went and had a look at the monitor for one VAR check, then he should have gone to have a look for the other one as well. So whether it had been given or not, I don't know. But at least that's a fair that's a fair result for sort of what went on. But and I was gutted to lose the way we did. Because obviously a point going down to 10 men, a point would have been a good result. But to lose in injury time like that, I'm sat there watching that ball sneak over the line. You think, oh no. Or, I think the worst thing was if they'd have scored after 65 minutes and beaten us 3 or 4-1, you'd have said, all right, fair enough, we went down to 10 men. But to get through that far was great. But the majority of fans stayed in the stadium after the final whistle there. And there was nothing but applause for the team. So I think all those fans understood just what a great performance that was. And even though, I put it out, I was gutted with the result, but I couldn't have been more pleased with the performance. And that was the best performance that we've stuck in this season, especially in that first half. And they really, really looked good. And teams don't do that to Man City, not in the league. Rarely do teams do that to Man City. And even Guardiola said, we were the better team. So disappointing, but you've got to look at the bigger picture and say that really, from a team perspective, that is what we want to see, and that's what we've been working towards. So it's not complete, and there's still a few more little jiggling to do, but I can't be negative about what I saw on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. Steve, the dust has settled. You was very proud the other day, a little bit angry. How are you feeling now?
Same. Just very, very proud Arsenal fan, which I said that I haven't felt for a long while, and I've been an Arsenal support for a long time, as you both know, and it was hurting me because some of the passion was going out of me, and for that to happen, that was worrying. But recently over the last few games, especially this season, they're turning it around. Arteta's turning it around, and I agree with Simon with what he said, that it was the best performance of the season. I said on the post-match reaction that I felt that it was a better performance than when we beat Spurs 3-1, even though we lost. So although it was disappointing, there was that element of when it finished of being proud and knowing what you'd just seen. Because look, this is the bigger picture. This ain't about one game, and we've said many a time that if we lose, we want to see us lose well, and we want to play against the top teams, and we don't want to get beat 5-0, 6-0. We want to come off the pitch if we get beat and give a performance. And we certainly did that. The weekend. And to be fair, that's not the first time. When we played Manchester United away, we came on here, we was absolutely gutted because we knew that we had them. We had them on toast. And it wasn't for a couple of silly decisions. That game would have been ours. So the ball ain't running our way. The referee's decision certainly ain't running our way. That was the anger that came across, in the post-match reaction. But very proud, and just looking forward to the next game now.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's going to come fast enough. Simon, what's the big differences that you noticed, maybe from what we saw earlier in the season when we were still on a good run to compared to now, and especially in the Man City game?
I mean, we seem to have like the back five. That the more games they play together, including the keeper with that, obviously, the more games they play together, the more familiar they get with themselves. So that's just getting better and better as each game goes on to me. But obviously, in the last few games, we've dropped Aubameyang. We're playing with two wide players in Saka and Martinelli. So straight away, that is giving us options down both sides. Now, if you lump in Tierney and Tomiyasu with those two who are doubling up all the time, there's a threat down both flanks. And for me, they brought Odegaard in, and he really has played well, I think, since he's come back into the side. Now, my man of the match on Saturday was Partey. I thought he was great. I think that's the best, certainly the first half, the best 45 minutes he's had for us. He dominated that midfield, and you don't often say that when you're playing City. So the pace of the side has cranked up. I think we're playing with a faster tempo. There's less side-to-side balls and more sort of forward passing, direct play, and we're scoring goals now, aren't we? We went for quite a few weeks with scraping 1-0 games or 0-0s, but we're on the ascendancy, and the goals. If we're not scoring, we're certainly looking like scoring. So goal difference has come way up in the last month. But we went head to head with City, and man for man across the pitch, we sort of equalled them. And that's got to be a massive plus as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd say so even more. The first half, we dominated them. The second half, we went toe-to-toe with them, and it was more of a challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I completely agree. Steve, what difference have you noticed since Aubameyang's been out of the team? What do you think has sparked it? Because one thing that we criticised of, especially Mikel Arteta, he said he was pragmatic. Which, I mean, it didn't feel that way from when you was watching, especially when you look at the stats of some of the games. I think we broke a record this season for the most attempts on goal, and we finished that game 1-0. So to say that Mikel Arteta is pragmatic is just a bit short-sighted. But what do you think it is that's changed since Aubameyang's been dropped out of the team?
I think it's the attitude of the players. I just think that, when you look at players like Silva, Gabriel, Martinelli, Emil Smith-Rowe, Odegaard, Lacazette, Granit Xhaka, Thomas Partey, especially at the weekend, you've got these players there. Tomiyasu, I can go for Kieron Tierney. It's such a pleasure to go through all these. They've got such an incredible attitude that we haven't had for a long while, going back to when Ramsey and the Walcotts and the Cazorlas were in their pomp. This is the best side I've seen since those days. And we spoke about it again the weekend when we was telling about how they're coming out. And Martinelli said, I don't care if I play 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to come on there. I want to die for Arsenal. Gabriel saying the same. Granit Xhaka saying the same. Kieron Tierney says it regularly. Emil Smith-Rowe, the fact that he's not been in the starting lineup, but he's still coming on and he's still scoring goals. It's not changing their attitude. These players are just happy to be at Arsenal Football Club, and now you see that the weekend when we played Man City. And when you've got that type of attitude, mixed in with a few, a bit of quality, which, we all know that we've got, you're going to have, the perfect, the perfect fusion together. And I think you spoke about, Mikel Arteta being pragmatic. He may have been a little bit pragmatic, but you can only play with what you got, and I have always said, and I can take this back to Emery, to be honest with you, don't judge the manager until they can get their own team in. And Arteta has finally been allowed to get his own team in, right? And he's brought in players like Tomiyasu, Ramsdale, Gabriel, White, maybe not Gabriel, White. I think, it was Gabriel. And he's brought through the young players. And now you can say, now I can play how I want. Now I can set my team up to go and, match City. And that's evident, not just in the City game, but in games, much before the City games. And that's where the excitement comes in. And that's where, we can't wait until the next game is being played. But I think, the attitude of the players, for me, and having, certain players now that have gone out, that have left the club, who were sort of stinking up the place. And now you've got players there that all just want to, die for the badge.
All right. Simon, same question to you. What have you noticed since Aubameyang's gone? What have you noticed the change? Because, as I said before, people were saying we didn't have chances on goal, but now we're scoring 3 or 4 a game. So something's changed. What have you noticed?
Well, I mean, obviously, a lot of that you got to look at the opposition. But to me, so Lacazette's come back in. He's a far more unselfish player than what Aubameyang was. Now, if you sort of go back to the last two couple of seasons where we've gone to sort of big away games, places like Anfield and Man City, and afterwards you get the stats that Aubameyang's like touched the ball 10 times in the game. Well, he's not the sort of person that's going to unselfishly come out of his position and go looking for the ball further back. Now, Lacazette's done that. Now, if you do that, and you get the ball, he's got options to turn around and pass. And I just think that the whole game without him looks a lot quicker and a lot more direct. Listen, he was a great goal scorer, Aubameyang. He still is. But if you take his goal scoring out of it, he does nothing else for the team. Nothing whatsoever. He's not linking anyone together. He does nothing. So if he's scoring 25 goals a season, then fair enough. You can't you can't speak out against that. But he wasn't scoring goals, and the reality was, did he deserve to be in the starting lineup? Even before what happened, and the answer is no. So Lacazette, who knows what's going to happen? But I like the Martinelli, Saka left-right pivot. And I like Odegaard just having a free little role behind the forward. And he can go ahead of Lacazette, and Lacazette will drop back. But I just think the whole pattern of that front four has changed since Aubameyang's been dropped. And obviously, if you're looking at results, it's been a positive for us. You can't change a team at the moment, can you? If there's an injury, fair enough. And if you turn around and said, well, Smith Rowe's going to start instead of Odegaard, you'd hardly say it's weakening the side, have you? So we're in that nice position of being able to substitute one player in for another. Times are good at the moment. It's an exciting time to be a fan, and we're in with we're not going to win the league, we know that, but we're certainly in with a shout of getting into the top 4, I think.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. Just want to say hello to everyone who's joined us in the chat. Jonathan Cox, nice to see you again. Calesto, I want to see your jokes in there today, mate. You've been absolutely kidding us for the last few sessions. Johnny, nice to see you there, mate. Nathan saying, have to say your boys played well against City. If Abba wasn't doing what he's doing, then having him on the day up front could have been a difference, or possibly a draw or a win.
I said that the other day. I said that to someone.
On the flip side, Nathan, would we have the same fluidity with Abba? See, what I've noticed from Aubameyang is, yes, he's a very talented goal scorer, top class. He's smashing in goals for us left, right, and centre. Can't argue that. But his style of play is to sit on that shoulder. He's not linking up plays. He's not dropping in. And if Lacazette drops in, is he then creating enough options along that wing, the same amount as Martinelli and Saka? I don't think he is. and it's just because he's not got the energy. It's a different style of striker. So I don't know whether you're going to get the same output as you are with Abba in the team. It's not to say that I wouldn't like to see him in the team in the future. It's not to say that I think his career should be over. It's just that I think that against the Man City, the reason why it worked is because you had 11 players on the pitch all working and sing off the same hymn sheet. Whereas I don't think you quite have that with Aubameyang in there, because it's just a bit different. But I understand what you're saying. It could have well have been, or even if you was to bring him on as a sub, you could have had a last minute goal. You never know. Who else we got in there? We'll get to your comments in a second. First of all, you touched on it, and we spoke about it the other day quickly, Steve, but not in depth at all. You mentioned him, Simon, Lacazette. His contract's up at the end of the season. Aubameyang could potentially be going. You've seen the link-up play that Lacazette brings to the team. Do you start afresh and bring in someone completely new, or do you offer Lacazette potentially, let's say, a 2-year deal? Because he's not going to stay for one.
Honestly, right, so this is probably one of the toughest decisions he's got. For me, if you can get the right person in, or get the right two people in, then I think you can improve on Lacazette, but you want someone in that sort of style of play. Mm-hmm. He's not got any pace. That's the one downside of him. He's not a prolific goal scorer, but as I say, that doesn't matter if you're sacrificing your goals for somebody else, where you're sort of giving up something and bringing other players in. It doesn't matter who puts the ball in the back of the net. I've always said, like, striker's probably the biggest gamble and the hardest position to sort of fill when you're bringing people through. Now, we've been lucky that Saka cost us nothing, Martinelli cost us virtually nothing, but they're not going to play at centre forward. I don't think we're going to be looking, I think, for at least one, if not two, strikers in the next 12 months. So I'd say if they offered him a 1-year deal to stay, I think that might be reasonable, because then you can put our acquisitions maybe over a longer period. But I don't see the club offering him another 2-year deal because of his age and because of the deal that he's going to want.
Yeah, true, very true. Steve, do you think it's a case of getting in a 2-for-1, someone who's going to be able to do both, or is it a target man, or is it your all-round complete striker? What is it do you think Arsenal need if they're going to lose Lacazette and Aubameyang?
There was something you said the other day, and I couldn't agree with you more. And that's what this team has done, and what Arteta has done in this season. I think he's given us options on the type of striker or the type of front man we can bring in. I think that before we was looking at, a Martinez, we was looking at, a Valavit, we was looking for that head striker, to play at the front with, say, Martinelli on that side and Saka on the other side and the guy down the middle. Well, I think we've got a bigger option. I think we could bring someone in, like you look at Liverpool and you look at Man City and you look at their setup, the way they're playing at the moment. Yeah, down the middle you've got like a Firmino type of player who he's not a centre forward. He actually does probably the same type of job as what Lacazette is doing at the moment for Arsenal. Yeah, I'm not saying that we should keep Lacazette. I'm a little bit split. But what I am.
Been split for the last 2 years, Steve.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I think, because of the way the team's grown, it's given us that extra type of option to bring a different type of front man in. Yeah. Coletto's just there. He's put there Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I mean, he's going to cost a lot of money. It's like he's a £70 million player. Do we need that? It's one of them ones now where I think we're lucky enough to have that, different type of option where we can play that false nine, someone who can play that type of role. Although obviously, I mean, I'd love someone like a Valovic to come in or a Martinez to come in. One of these type of head strikers up there. But it seems to me that the way Arsenal's set up now, I wouldn't be too disappointed if they brought in someone like a Kulusevski, to sort of play, in the centre stroke, moving around, because I think all those three front players can go left, right. They can move all around. And what team does that? Liverpool. They move all over the place at the front, and they don't have a central striker.
I think that the next striker we sign will show you exactly what route Arteta wants to take.
Yeah,
that'll answer the question, won't it?
Yeah, I think like you got to look at. I mean, it's to me. I said to Simon, it seems to me he's morphing Arsenal into City. With the left and the right back. Doing the same jobs as what the left and right back do for City, the same as Trent and Robinson do for Liverpool with a ball, and in the middle there you've got more of your defensive midfield players where you've got your Xhaka, Lokonga, Partey, that more of a, not necessarily where they're going to go and like split balls and that do that type of midfield job. More your stopper and your layer offer who can play a ball through the channels every now and then. But I think
even down to the keeper, Steve. The keeper, it's someone who basically has got options from the back. He's not just going to stand there for 10 seconds with the ball in his hand. He'll either look to release quickly. As what we saw. We saw some. He kicked a ball out on Saturday to Martinelli down the left. Amazing.
That touch.
But by the same token, he can quickly play it out from the back, and he's comfortable with the ball at his feet as well. So he's looked at that. He's coming. I mean, Leno, no one was crying out really when we got. He made some howlers last season, but Ramsdale's a totally different upgrade to Leno, isn't he?
Yeah, but if you look at City as well, they had Joe Hart, and Joe Hart was an England goalkeeper at the time. Probably in England was quite highly regarded. They brought in Bravo, who's not as good a goalkeeper, but when you're talking about his footwork, he's like an outfield player. So because anything else. Because
Pep wants to start from the back, and Joe Hart couldn't start that off from his position. So it was a great shot saver. But he just couldn't do what was asked. And now they've upgraded even more. And you look at what they've got now, and it's as close to perfect as what you're going to get. It's like having another outfield player at times.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 3 seasons, the title's been won without centre forward.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Mikel Arteta's come from Man City, where he's been brought up on, the Man City way and the Arsene Wenger way. So you do sort of, get taught, if you've been like around Wenger and Pep, you're going to take things out of their games to bring into yourselves when you're a manager. So the fact that the title's been won for 3 years now without centre forward, I'm sure that's in his head. And
listen, they were rumoured to be after Harry Kane, weren't they, in the summer? Clearly wouldn't pay the money. Are they suffering without him? Because I'd say, because as far as I'm concerned, the league's over now. The league's over for me. So they're getting to win the league, and they've done it without maybe the prime target that they had at the start of the season.
He's done it again, isn't he? He's a genius, isn't he? Again. Pep's a genius. So, that's why I said it's Arsenal now with the rest of the side. A lot of teams, they still need that centre forward. To score all the goals, because the rest of the side ain't up so much. But Arsenal ain't in that situation now. You can see Arsenal growing, and could have 4 or 5 world-class players in the next two years. So maybe Arteta's looking at the centre forward and thinking, well, I don't need to go and spend 70 million, 80 million on one of these big guys.
I hope he doesn't. Because then I just feel like we're getting back into the realm of, he's got to play for his price tag. He's the elite striker. It's this, it's that. I just want we built this team so far. Take away Partey, but all the rest of these players, half the Arsenal fan base didn't know who they were, and I loved that. That I've been speaking about that for ages, about how we need to go back to getting in players that are the right characters, the right fit, not necessarily elite. This whole elite nonsense, I'm not into it. Like we tried that, it didn't work because after a couple of years, if it's not working out, they down tools or they want out or they want more money. We're bringing up players.
We saw that last night in spectacular fashion at Old Trafford.
Let's
just go and buy all the big players. Let's go and spend silly money. And basically, they have not advanced one iota in the last 5 years. And now they've got huge wages with big price tags. And it's all that they are where we were 5 or 6 years ago.
Thank you.
And they're just stumbling down the same road.
Yeah, and I don't want to go back there again. Yes, in 5 years' time. If you turn around to me and said you could have a Haaland, I'm not going to say no to it. But I'd happily take the next Haaland, the next so and so. I love that excitement of not knowing and bringing through youngsters and this. I love that. So for me, that's the Arsenal way. And if we can continue doing that, I'm a happy man.
I've seen it a few times, and to me, it was like Joe Willock plus 4 million got us Odegaard. Now, was Joe Willock going to be playing the same role as what Odegaard is this season?
Never.
No. So you don't want to see youngsters go. You want to see them succeed. And it's great at the moment that we have got youngsters coming through. But clearly, someone at the football club decided, well, sorry, Sunshine, but we're being offered 25 million and we can go and get someone as an upgrade to you who's fits the bill perfectly. All his best years are ahead of him, and he had plenty of experience playing in foreign leagues, all over. So you have to look at that as good business. We've got other players out. We've got Guendouzi. We've got Torreira still on the books. Yeah. You look at all these players. Now, if Maitland-Niles goes, you might be looking at 35 million for those three. Well, you can do a lot with 35 million at the moment with regards to acquisitions. Are any of those three really going to be linchpins in our team ever again?
No.
I feel sorry for Ainsley because but it's ruthless. And if you can get an upgrade, that's what we've got to do.
That's been one of our problems over the years, 15 years, whatever, however long. Was we do business with our heart rather than our heads. At the point where we can cut our losses or cut and make a profit, we don't. Oh, maybe potentially. Oh, we don't want to let him go. Oh, look at Gnabry. Look what happened to him when we let him go. Nonsense. Gnabry's are once in a blue moon. And you very rarely let them go. And there was a lot of circumstances around that which led to him leaving. So don't dwell on that. Like, move on. And it could happen again, but who cares? Look at the youth coming through now. And if we're to hold on to players like Joe Willock, Reece Nelson, Guendouzi, you're not going to see the Charlie Patinos. You're not going to see the Amari Hutchinsons or the Kiddo Taylor Harts. You won't see them because they're going to be in their way. So if it's not working, we move on.
I've had that many discussions on Twitter about Torreira. People telling me, "Oh, he should be back now. He's absolutely marvellous." My response is, how many other English teams were in for him when basically we signed him, and now it's pretty obvious that he's not going to play for us again. How many English teams are in for him now, trying to sign him? And the answer's none. So that tells me, well, is he geared up for the English league? He's not good enough for what we need. Sorry, he had a few good games. Don't get me wrong. He gave his all, but if we want to get to where we're going to go, he's not part of the plans as far as. And Guendouzi's just a whole bunch of trouble. Just get rid. Just get rid.
We don't need to speak about Guendouzi. No. He's just too much attitude. Go on, Steve. What you saying?
No, one of the things I feel is another. You were talking about differences. I think a big difference. Before when we had, say, probably our last big, best good side was when we had the days of like Chamberlain and Theo Walcott. And there was someone an Aaron Ramsey, but the difference with them, they all decided eventually they wanted to leave, and for me, the art went. When looking back now in hindsight, I feel that there wasn't Arsenal players at the end of the day. There was always that. I might leave. I'm going to leave. These players that we've got now, these have been breaded as Arsenal players. They've been brought up since they was kids as Arsenal players, since they was like 6 and 8 years old, some of them. you know, and now they're in the first team. And I think that makes a massive difference. You know, when it comes to you talking about like people like who want to move on or want to go on. Gnabry, you know, he was German. You know, his heart wasn't in playing in the Premiership. When to go in the Bundesliga, I don't feel that at all with the Arsenal players now. You got Emil Smith Rowe, you got Bakarai Saka, and you know, and Martinelli, who's you know been there for a while. You know, these are the best players to me since Fred Fabregas, who, you know, we all sort of like took as one of our own. And I think that plays a massive part, but which we ain't had that for a long while. And I don't think we even had it with those players. As you know, as with Ramsey, Chamberlain and Walcott, I don't think they had that art looking back.
But even if you said there with Cesc Fabregas, he was one of our own, still is. It hurt us when he left and he went to Chelsea, but slowly getting that love back because we know that he does actually support Arsenal. But even there, he was a Barcelona boy. He came to us at 15, but he was a Barcelona boy. These boys, when it comes to the crunch and it comes to them getting a bit later down the line, hopefully where we are progressing as well and we're not holding them back. But when a Liverpool comes in, when a Barcelona's sniffing around, when a Real Madrid, are they going to have that same connection that Cesc Fabregas did with Barcelona? They're not, because the connection's here with Arsenal, as you're saying. They're brought up through, so that it's not got that turn in the head thing. I feel that only if Arsenal implode will those players want to leave. Because the other
thing that I would throw in to back that up as well, if you go to a club that's at the height of its success. So let's say in the current scenario, City or sort of Liverpool, that you're expected just to sort of continue. If you're at a club that's on the way back and has been starved of sort of relative success for a while, which we have, how much better and how much more desire does that give you if you start to actually turn things around and start to put things in place? Because it's a project, isn't it? And if you can see the end game of that project coming your way, that keeps people's interest in it. It sounds horrible, but if you're winning the title year in, year out, like a lot of those players are like, oh yeah, we're going to win it again. Oh, we're going to win it again. The hunger maybe dies off a little bit there, and that's where Pep's such a good manager, because he keeps them on their toes.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think. I mean, it's a big statement, this, but I don't think there's been a better crop of youngsters in the Premier League since 1992, and Manchester United's famous players of 1992. I'd like someone to have a think. Maybe I'm sure there's probably a crop of youngsters somewhere that someone will pop up and whack in the comments, or DM me later on. You normally do. But seriously, I can't think of one. I just can't.
I'm struggling to find.
You've got to add Charlie Patino. You've got to add into that. Who everybody's saying that they're going as far as that this kid's going to be world class and better than anybody we've got on the pitch now. They've gone to that degree.
Another Jack. We bigged up Jack before he even saw him play. Let's hope that it doesn't happen. But
best signings we could make is all of them youngsters give them another 5-year contract.
Yeah, 100%. All I can think of is Leeds had a very good young crop of youngsters, but I'm trying to think whether they were all
hard, though, isn't it?
through or whether they were brought in. It's tough. I'm gonna do some research on it. Let's go to some of the comments quickly before we move on to the next topic. Johnny says Arteta has said from the start, everyone needs to buy into what it should mean to play for this great club. The boys showed that against City. They definitely did. Calesto said Arteta ball is definitely in full swing now. Yes, it is.
I like a bit of swing ball. Champion, I am at that.
Arsenal promoting Arteta from head coach to manager is also underrated. He's completely changed the team on and off the pitch. I agree. He spoke about changing the mentality, as Johnny is saying, and he's done that. He has done that. All right.
Yeah, I mean, the fans have just definitely sort of dwindling away, aren't they? The Arteta haters, the the Xhaka-ators, the we play crap football haters.
Yeah,
they've gone, haven't they? They've gone.
There's none of that in the stadium, Steve. None of that in the stadium at all.
There's always going to be attention seekers out there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always going to be people who's looking for clicks.
Bye-bye.
So it is what it is, but they are very few and far between. Simon, what's your expectations for the season? How high do you think we could finish?
I think our next league game against Spurs is huge. If a draw in that fixture is not a bad result. So let's not go overboard. If we can get a point there, I don't think that's a bad result. So after that, I think we got home games against Burnley and Brentford. So they're the games that you've got to win. Last season we had that horrendous spell, losing at home to Burnley, Wolves, and all those teams and things. That's what we've put right this season. Home form is fantastic. So there's no doubt about it. Third, I think he's been a little bit optimistic, but it's not. But to me, that fourth place is up for grabs. Now, from what I saw last night, we do not need to fear Man United. I think Tottenham, I think I'm right in saying that Tottenham have got to go away from home to all the other top
3 times.
3 or 4 clubs or something like that. So that's, and as we saw, like game in hand FC, don't worry about that because things don't work out. So I'm definitely think that 4th place is achievable. But every game now, the remaining 18 games or whatever it is, they're all like a mini cup final now, and there'll be twists and turns, and there will be a bump along the way. There'll be a result that it'll be a disastrous one for us, but which wasn't Saturday's result. It would have been nice to have got a point or even 3, but we lose to City. We haven't got to play City again, so that's they're not going to bother us anymore. But every game now, and that he'll get them up for it. Arteta, the mindset is there now. It's not like it's Watford away or something like that. These are all huge games, and he'll keep them on their toes.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Steve, expectations for the season? How high do you think we can finish?
Well, we could certainly finish 4th. I mean, to be honest, I can't believe we're actually talking like this.
I know. I tried not to, but we have to have conversations now. Before it was don't jinx it. Let's not even speak about that. We said 5th and 6th we'd be happy with. Just leave it as there. Now it's like we've been sitting in this false spot for too long. It's now got the creases of our backsides in the chair of that false spot. So we've got to talk about it.
I didn't mean it as a bad thing that we shouldn't talk about it. I just think that I would have laughed in people's faces if someone would have said we'd be talking about this stage of the season at the beginning of the season. Yeah. Because I just expected I would have been happy just to get in Europe through the Conference League, and that was the God's honest truth. I would have been happy with that. And now we're talking about looking at Tottenham, and you're thinking, we're just as good as them. Man United certainly just as good as them. West Ham having a great season, but on our day, we're better than West Ham. And if you look at that, we should be 4th at the end of the season. But as I say many times, this is football. Simon's absolutely right. There will be bumps in the road, and there will be a team who will get beat who we shouldn't get beat by. And it might be at home. It might be against a Crystal Palace. It might be against a Brentford at home or something. It happens, but that don't just happen to Arsenal. That happens to every team in Europe, whether you're Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus, Man City, or Liverpool. But the only people that seem to think that it does happen to only Arsenal is this little section of Arsenal fans who live in this little bubble that think we should go and win every single game every week. But as I said, it's unbelievable we're talking like this. Unbelievable I feel the way I do at the minute, and thinking that way I was at the beginning of the season. Happy is just is an understatement. But looking ahead, look, I'll be still happy with Europe. I'll be still happy with Europe. Tottenham, they could, Antonio Conte could buy a couple of players, a Kessie and a Valovic in January, and then they're they could get third, with that type of signing. So you don't know. Things will be a lot clearer after January. But look, this the way we're sitting now, you're asking the question now, and yeah, I mean we're the fourth best team in the league. So we should be looking at going for fourth. I wish you would ask that question again in January when I see who's bought what and who's bought, and then we can see what teams have got to go ahead. But we should get fourth. And looking at Manchester United at the moment, they look poor, and it's probably us and Tottenham where it's going to lie. But expectations, we can get fourth.
Have they changed? Have they changed?
They're massively changed.
Yeah.
They've massively changed. The teams, sometimes you think, you change. You've changed 50%. We haven't changed 50%. We've changed 70%. We was nowhere near like this at the beginning of the season. Again, I go back. You had Arsenal fans who thought we were. You had titles at the beginning of the season thinking that we should have been in the Champions League and we should have been winning the title. But that went out of knowledge. That was out of just plain stupidity.
So dare I say it? There's a little bit of a fear factor back, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah, there is.
Yes.
There is. I mean, it's like I think we spoke in like a little while ago, Simon, and especially I think it was the Tottenham game, and it was another game. Kieron might remember what it was, but you look at those two guys in midfield, and you don't fancy that, do you? You don't want to. You're going out. You're looking in a tunnel. You turn across, and then all of a sudden you got Xhaka and Partey looking at you like, looking like that, and then like Xhaka does one of his second minute put you in the stand jobs. Classic, like you out for the game, like he did with Oilberg. Then he did it with Oilberg. It was like bang, and that was it. You never see Oilberg after that. But I like that. See, a lot of people don't, but I'm a bit old fashioned, Simon. I'm like I love a player who second minute, boom, bang, gets a booking. I love it. Get in there. That'll shut you up for the rest of the game. Got 90 minutes of me now.
Well, it's about the craft side of it when you are that player. It's about not
whacking.
No, it's about not getting that booking. Look, we saw Rodri.
Peter Story, Simon.
Peter
Story. What did he do?
We saw Rodri, hack down Arsenal players left, right, and centre, stumble into them, bumble into them, and didn't come out of the game without a yellow card scored to win in the 94th minute. Like that's what we need to get to. We'll get there one day, though. Let's not forget, if we talk about expectations and where we potentially might end up at the end of the season.
I noticed I never answered that question, did I? I swung it badly.
That's about 10-15 minutes you was on there for. Get out of it.
On the fence.
Get out of it.
Fourth, yeah, we can do it. Fourth, come on the Arsenal.
Let's not forget, this form, not potentially how we've been playing necessarily, but this form has been from last season, the second half of last season. Only Man City taken more points from us than us. I think it was 44 we took. Man City took 53, which is very good. The blip at the start of the season, 3 games, and then we had a little blip. You could call the Crystal Palace and Brighton one a blip, but we didn't. We dropped points. Only got 1 point out of it there. But then there's the blip of the Man United Everton game. So that's carried on. So we should actually have a little bit more confidence that they can sustain this form going forward. They've got a better team, better players, and there's more cohesion. As for you saying where people at the start of the season were talking about fourth and Champions League and going for the league, I just think that those are agendas, Steve. Like, because they will add on top of that, we're Arsenal, I'm not going to drop my standards. Like, but are you being realistic? No, you're not. You're not being realistic. And to say that you're not going to drop your standards because we're Arsenal was just a backhanded comment to other fans. Got zero time for that. Zero time for that. It's absolute nonsense. But yeah, the team's moving forward. They're playing much better football. The attitudes around the pitch off the pitch from the players is getting there. It's there. It feels like it's there. It's not even getting there. It feels like it's there. And anyone who comes in has to buy into that. And that's what I'm talking. That's what I like. All I say now is the last bit, the last piece of that puzzle is what Mikel Arteta said. It's now our turn as fans to join in that. We're here as a collective. We do that.
We're here. We're joining
through thick and thin. But there's still a segment out there that are very thin. And when the results don't go their way, they flip it round. So if you're talking about if Arsenal don't get top 4, he needs to get the sack, you're the person I'm talking about. It's you lot out there, because Arsenal shouldn't be talking about getting the sack if we don't get top 4, because you just see the progression now. You just see that us moving forward now, and we are already better. It should be commended how we get on, and hopefully we can sustain this to get top 4 at the end of the season. If we don't and we just miss out, it should still be applauded for what we do, because the progression is there. So yeah. Arsenal, top 4, they can get it. I'm saying it, Steve. They can get it.
You can get it. Yeah. Use it. No, I was just. Nathan made a comment earlier, and he mentioned Aubameyang, and we sort of said that would he mess up the way the team's playing. I can't think of the words. I'm a Cockney.
Dynamic.
I only know words over 4
Simon
words.
called it dynamic. Would he mess up the dynamic? Yeah.
Dynamics. Yeah, I can't even say it. Look. What would it be like now? I mean, I don't know if Nathan met there. I don't know if he's still here, but if he is, then maybe he does. But what can you imagine if it was like if Aubameyang came back how he was, and he went in that centre in the mid? Do you think Arteta? What I want to ask you both really is, do you think Arteta's got that in his head, or it's just not there at all?
I don't think he's coming. I don't think he's coming back. He's not coming back with that attitude, is he?
Mm.
I've heard things. But,
do you know what? Look, I think we saw Tom White come on for the Sunderland preview, and when I mentioned potentially that Aubameyang, would you be fearful of Aubameyang playing this game? His face said a lot to me, which was like, he's not going to play for Arsenal again, is he? And it was like, oh, okay. And then you hear the other things. You hear potentially about Aubameyang's reaction, and you listen to what, because Mikel Arteta is very transparent, even when he's not trying to be transparent. He says it. He lays it all out. Like he doesn't like. Yes, he sometimes he hides things, like keeps it private, but that's just professionalism. But the majority of stuff, he lays it out. He says it out there, but he doesn't just pull it on a plate for you. You just have to think. Like when he talks about the reaction of Aubameyang, it seems to me as the reaction wasn't the reaction that he thought, that he wanted. It should have been, pull your socks up. All right, I'm going to show you that I'm going to be a pivotal part for this team. Whereas he said something in the lines of he's not the mindset to play, but he's not ready to play for the team. And that says it all. That says it all, because you know what this manager wants. I feel that he would throw out an olive branch if Aubameyang was coming in early saying, I'm going to win my place back and I'm going to show that I should be a part of this team. I feel like he would let him back in the team. But I don't think he's done that. And that's just reading between the lines. But from what I see, from what I hear, from what Arteta says, I don't feel like Aubameyang's playing ball.
What do you reckon, Simon? What would you do?
So he's halfway through the contract, isn't he? He's got 18 months left. I don't see him getting sold unless relations have totally broken down and he insists on leaving. I don't see him going in January. But there is a possibility I could see him going in the summer. But he's going to have to take a hit on the big salary he's got. But what you don't want is your biggest earner and your player with the biggest transfer fee, both not in the team, do you? That tells you that there's been mistakes made, and that doesn't look good, does it? So you've got 72 million on the bench and 300,000 a week on the bench next to him. But I don't see him getting back in the side instantly. Now, obviously, if there's an injury to Lacazette,
I was about to say that, yeah.
He's probably going to play, isn't he? And, or unless we just stick Smith Rowe in instead and put Odegaard a little bit further up, or you take a punt on Balogun through the middle, or you move Martinelli in the middle. But I think that weakens the side by doing that. So the other option, the other option, of course, is if he buys someone this month. Well, if you're buying someone, you're buying them to put in the team, aren't you? So that would, now you could argue he's buying someone this month as a replacement for Lacazette, and then those two between them can work that position for the rest of the season. But as I say, you've got an asset that basically would be frozen out, who's our highest earner. But who's going to buy? I've heard he ain't going to go to Newcastle, is he? Let's be honest. I'll be amazed. But it's very, very difficult, and there's an art to controlling players and getting the best out of them. And it appears that if you don't toe the line, like Guendouzi, like Aubameyang, you're not going to play, are you? End of. And he's drawn his line in the sand. And if you cross that line, whoever you are, you're going to get treated the same way. Now, I haven't got a problem with that, but as I say, what we have got a problem with is the money we're paying each week for someone that's not playing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one of these people who sort of like, if they do, all I'm worried about, to be honest, when it comes to Arsenal, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, you can call me out on it. But I couldn't care less what people do off the pitch. I really couldn't. To me, you could go and do what you like off the pitch. I mean, we go back to players like Paul Merson and Tony Adams. I mean, they used to come on the pitch pissed, every single week, right? But they used to smash it every week. You would have never known watching them that they was like out there nut the night before, because everything was kept in hands. Now, if Aubameyang comes back, and I'm not interested in what he's done. The only thing that interests me is what he does on the football pitch, and he hasn't done it on the football pitch,
and that's the problem.
So that's what bothers me. I couldn't care less if he's late. I don't care if he misses 6 days training out of 7. As long as he comes in that 7th on a Saturday and scores a goal and we win, I'm not interested. I really ain't. I've thought about this, and I'm an Arsenal fan, and as a fan, we want Arsenal to win trophies and we want to win. Do we care what's going on outside? Do they care what's going on in our lives outside? No. So I don't really care. It's the football pitch. It's that big bit of green with the 2 goals at the end. If you're not doing it, like Aubameyang's not, then I'll come down on you. And that's when the time to bring him out. And I think if Arteta, if Aubameyang had been smashing it, would he have dropped him? I think there'd been a lot of Arsenal fans on his back if he was scoring every week and then they pull him out.
Yeah, but
it's just my way of looking at things.
No, but I think that's key though. That's massively key. If you can't be thinking you're the big Charlie Fat Potatoes, yeah, and then couldn't hit a barn door in 18 months. Like, it's embarrassing. You can't do that. And the thing is, you're slouching about. You're not doing it on the pitch. And then there's people in that team who can't get a game, who can't get 10 minutes because you're doing something half-arse on the pitch. That's where it interferes with the team. That's where the problem is, because there's younger players looking at you as an example. There's players that are doing your job as a captain off the pitch, which you're not doing, and then you're not doing it on the pitch. Oh my gosh! No wonder people like Bellerin gave up, because they're looking at Aubameyang, getting the captain's armband while he's going to do all the meet and greets, all the hospital visits, and all of this, and all the player liaison. Bellerin's doing that while Aubameyang's doing that, and he gets his 350 grand a week, gets all the praise, and ain't doing nothing. Like, that's where it gets disjointed. That's where disharmony comes in the squad, and people want out or they're not happy. That's the problem. That is the problem.
Pepe's another one, isn't he? Pepe's another one. What does he do? What do we do with him? Again, we've spoke about him. I mean, what would you do, Simon? With Pepe,
I think it's a different. I think it's a different scenario to Aubameyang, isn't it? Because I think he just, on his day he's looked great, but you're going to put him in front of Saka or Martinelli at the moment? You're not, are you?
No.
So he's just sitting there waiting for an injury, isn't he? He would play this Thursday if the game's on, and well, if he was here, he would start.
Yeah, but you're not hearing. I'm not hearing anything about Pepe. I'm not hearing anything about Pepe being late. I'm not hearing anything. In fact, I watched the training sessions with Arsenal, and Pepe's jumping up, hey, making jokes, having a laugh. Like he couldn't care less. Like he wants to play. He wants to play. But you're not hearing kicking up.
Neither Pepe or Aubameyang were signed by Arteta, would I?
Yeah.
So would he sign either of them players? I don't know, but the fact that neither of them are playing might give you the answer to that question. I don't think Pepe's going anywhere until maybe the summer. But if someone gets injured, he comes in, doesn't he? It's simple as that.
That's my worry, Kieron. What happens with the injuries? We said if Lacazette gets injured, what happens? We're going on this good run at the minute. It's like we've said, like if so and so gets injured, he can come in. If Tierney gets injured, we've got Tavares come. Holding can come in there. He's doing quite well. But what happens if Saka gets injured? Especially at certain areas, isn't it? Saka on the right. Who goes on the right? In the midfield's not too bad. We're pretty well covered on that. Odegaard or Smith-Rowe can go this way, that way. If Xhaka's, the Conga can come in, or we can, Odegaard can play as a number 8. We've got options. There's positions where we haven't got options, and that is like, especially like with Lacazette gets injured and Saka gets injured. Mainly the strikers, mainly the three up front.
I think you'll see. I think if Lacazette gets injured, you're going to see us trying again with Smith-Rowe in there or an Odegaard in there. If Saka gets injured, you can bring in a Pepe. But does the system suit Abba? I don't think it does. He's not a link-up man. I've been screaming for seasons that he can't hold up the ball. He's not a hold-up man. He likes to sit on the shoulder and use his pace and use his finishing. And that's what he is. He's a top-class finisher who's just out of form.
Square peg, round hole.
It ain't gonna work. Before we go, do we need to buy someone in January to get top 4? Simon first.
Thank God for that.
I think that question will be answered if we see if Maitland-Niles goes. I think there's a possibility of maybe a midfielder coming in. Might be on loan, might be a loan with a buy option. I don't see us buying a striker in this. I mean, they're talking about this. Steve will know it. Who's this Swedish lad? That I'd never heard of him before, but you'll know. But
Dejan Kulusevski,
Alexander Isak.
Yeah.
Oh, Isaac. Very good player.
But
he's raw. He's raw. And raw players, I don't think we need a raw player.
The other thing is, you bring in someone in January, especially if they come from abroad, are they going to hit the ground running? And that's what you want, which is why buying in the summer gives them a little bit of chance to get used to things. So I think it's a gamble buying this time of year. I'd be surprised if we do buy someone, but if we do, I think it's probably more likely to be someone in midfield and maybe on loan.
All right. Steve, I'm going to put the question to you differently because we're going to grill you for the last 5 minutes in a minute. Not necessarily do Arsenal need to buy anyone in January. Can they survive without it? Can they get top 4 without bringing someone in?
We can if we don't get no injuries in certain areas. And, Lacazette is doing a certain job at the moment. And he's doing it 10 out of 10. He's doing it absolutely perfectly. And he's the type of player, he's of an age and people look up to him. But if he's not in that side, you wonder who can come in and take his place. People saying to me, Martin Eddy can come in and take his place. Well, we had this the other. We keep having this. He's the, why. We had it with Aubameyang to a point, didn't we? We had a chat about it. Why has Aubameyang got to come centre forward when he's got the golden boot out on the left? But everyone's keep going to centre. Why has he got going to centre? You don't need fixing. He's got nearly 2 golden boots by playing out on the left and cutting in. Don't do that. But there's certain areas where if we get injuries, then we won't be able to. I don't think we will be able to.
Can we survive? Can we survive these 3 games? So it's the 3 cup games and Tottenham with without. It's only Party in that middle, isn't it? So without Party, Do we need to buy someone?
Well, first of all,
3 cup games. Remember.
Well, that's what I was going to. Yeah, because of the fact that they're cup games, there's players that we don't need to play. So the players that we don't need to play, to me, would be the ones in the positions that we would be in trouble with if they got injured. To me, that just makes perfect sense to me. You know, maybe Tomiyasu, bring Cedric in. You know, Saka. You know, bring him out. You know, Lacazette, bring him out because he's doing a job which no one else can do at the moment. You know, we've got players that can come in to replace them. Or we can bring Charlie Patino in. You know, we can move, players out to the left and the right. Odegaard and Smith Rowe can play half a game each. So yeah, I think we can get away with it. I think we can get away with the 2 games, and then, we'd want everyone back in for the Tottenham game. But yeah, I think we can get away with it. But I do worry if we get injured in key areas, because at the moment, it's fine having, it's just like Arsenal. We've got, say, like 8 players that where we can just go, yeah, there's another one, which we haven't had for ages, where we can just bring someone in, to replace, and there's no difference. But we do have 3 or 4 where we're in trouble if they get injured. So in them positions, you just hope, you pray that we don't get injured in those positions, and a good way how to sort of stop that would be to certainly not to play them in the FA Cup games. Right. That would be a good start.
I'm sure he could put out a team we've got from a mixture of youngsters, squad players that can get past Nottingham Forest. Let's go to the comment section before we go. Callisto says the team is capable of getting top 4. Spurs having Conte is a bit of worrisome, but we can do this. Johnny says no one has to like Arteta, but we all want Arsenal to be successful. So how can people call themselves fans if they have a mindset that whatever someone does isn't good enough? 100%, Johnny. Great comment. 100%. Yeah. Spot on.
Nice.
Callisto says he thinks that Abba is done at Arsenal. Glenn 10's in the room. How you doing, Glenn? This one's for you, Steve. Any chance of Vlahovic and Isak replacing Abba and Laka? You going for both? Why are you being so greedy? Go on, Steve.
There's not a lot about on Isak. He's on a very long contract until 2026, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he's too raw for the Premiership. I still think he's an excellent player, and one day he'll be a top player, and he'll probably play in the Premiership. But for me, there's nothing going. There's not a lot about on Isak, and I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. I don't think he's the right fit for Arsenal. As far as Vlahovic goes, another bid's gone in today for 55 million. They will throw Lucas Torreira in with that, but the problem is there, like it was when Arsenal put in the first bid, was that Vlahovic at the moment is not, looking at Arsenal somewhere to go. If anywhere he'll go, he wants to go is Man City or Chelsea, and so. But that could change. I think that the fact that Arsenal have put in another bid tells me that, and it tells a few people that I've spoke to today, that there still must be a chance. So definitely don't, I still think Vlahovic is a good chance. But we was talking earlier about what type of striker, would come in. And today there's a lot about Coutinho. And the more we've spoken today, I sort of poo-pooed it when I heard it this morning. But as time goes on through the day, I've heard it from someone else, then someone else, then someone else. And I don't think you can sort of forget about him, because he wants to play for Arsenal. He wants to come to Arsenal. He wants to play in the Premiership. And maybe he could be that player who plays, you know, that Lacazette role. I don't know. I can't picture it in my head at the minute. The exact roles that Coutinho's played, because he's at Liverpool, at Bayern, at Barcelona. I think he's played in all different positions. Yeah, but there's been a lot of rumours about Coutinho today.
Right. I mean, he's still got it. He just needs an arm around his shoulder. Pepe, such a frustrating player. He can drop a 0 and a 9 rated performance in the same game, if you know what I mean. 100%. We still have a skeleton squad. Arteta knows that. If our youngsters lose form and get injured, we could be in trouble at the moment. Yeah, I agree. We need the African Nations Cup nations to be stolen and be found in 5 months by Jack Russell in the summer. You want them players. You want Thomas Partey to go to the African Nations Cup in the summer. He'd lose about 5 stone. The height of summer. No, Johnny, we can't have that. It's why it's played now. Is it still every year? That's
every 2 years.
It's every 2 years now.
Yeah.
It feels like it comes around too quickly. Yes. That is it. All right, that's all we have time for. Thank you for everyone who joined us today. Thank you everyone in the comment section. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us today, Simon.
No problem. Loved it as always.
That's good. And thank you for joining us today, Steve.
Cheers, Kieron. Pleasure, mate.
All right. As I say all the time, if you are watching on any other platform, come and join us on KS1 TV, the Arsenal show. The Man United show is also on this channel, and we've also got the Transfer Exchange show. Yeah, the Transfer Exchange show. And Marie's Bundesliga Minutes. Let's not forget about that. So yeah, hit that subscribe button, hit that like, and if you're feeling a bit fruity, hit that share button. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.